When a young man walks miles through freezing wilderness to save a life, you know it's not just about survival, it's about humanity. Barron Trump wasn't expecting this night to change him forever. But when he stumbled upon a shivering, injured German shepherd lying helpless on the side of a snowy road, something deep inside him stirred. It was January 2024, and the world outside felt like it had been dipped in ice. The wind howled mercilessly as snowflakes danced chaotically under the dim glow of streetlights. Barron had taken his usual evening drive, a rare moment of solitude away from the chaos that often surrounded his family name. He never imagined that one decision would lead him into the heart of a story so raw, so unexpected, that it would leave everyone asking, what really happened out there? As Barron pulled over near the edge of a desolate forest path, his headlights illuminated the dog's frail form. Its fur was matted with blood, its breathing shallow. "Oh no," Barron whispered, stepping out of the car despite the biting cold. His breath fogged up instantly, but nothing could mask the urgency in his voice. Hey, buddy, can you hear me?" The dog whimpered weakly, its eyes barely open. It tried to lift its head, but collapsed back onto the snow. Barron knelt beside it, feeling panic rise in his chest. Who would abandon such a loyal creature? And why here, miles away from any sign of civilization? He knew what he had to do, but doing it wouldn't be easy. With no cell service and temperatures plummeting below zero, every second counted. Wrapping his coat around the trembling animal, Barron made a choice that would test his strength, resilience, and compassion in ways he couldn't have foreseen. Little did he know, this journey would reveal secrets hidden beneath layers of silence, secrets tied not only to the dog but also to himself. Secrets that would shock even those who thought they knew everything about Barron Trump, carrying the injured dog toward his vehicle. Barron realized quickly that this rescue mission wasn't going to be straightforward. The dog was heavier than expected, its body limp and unresponsive. Each step forward seemed to sap more energy from both of them. By the time he reached the car, sweat mingled with frost on his forehead, and his hands were numb from gripping the makeshift stretcher he'd fashioned using his scarf. Inside the car, Barron cranked up the heat and wrapped the dog tightly in blankets scavenged from the trunk. "You're gonna make it," he murmured, though uncertainty gnawed at him. Where could he take the dog? The nearest veterinary clinic was at least 20 miles away, and that was assuming the roads weren't blocked by snowdrifts or fallen trees. But then came another problem. As Barron drove cautiously along the winding roads, the dog began convulsing violently. Its paws scraped against the seat, and its cries pierced through the quiet hum of the engine. Panic surged through Barron's veins. No, stay with me," he shouted, pulling over again to check on the animal. Using his phone flashlight, Barron examined the wound on the dog's side. It looked infected, possibly days old. A shard of glass jutted out grotesquely, glinting ominously in the light. Removing it might cause more harm, but leaving it in place guaranteed infection would spread faster. He clenched his jaw, knowing what he had to do. Grabbing a pair of tweezers from the glove compartment, he steadied his shaking hands. "I'm sorry," he whispered before yanking the glass free. The dog let out a sharp yelp, startling Barron. Blood seeped steadily from the wound, staining the blanket. Barron pressed down firmly with a clean cloth, praying it would stop. Minutes ticked by agonizingly slowly until finally, the bleeding slowed enough for him to bandage the area. Exhausted and emotionally drained, Barron leaned back against the seat, staring at the dog. "Why does this feel so personal?" he muttered aloud. Maybe it was because the dog reminded him of loyalty, the kind people rarely showed anymore. Or maybe it was because, deep down, Barron understood what it meant to feel abandoned. Growing up in the public, it hadn't been easy for Barron. While his father's presidency brought fame, it also brought scrutiny. Cameras followed his every move, reporters dissected his choices, and strangers judged him based on assumptions rather than actions. Over time, Barron learned to keep parts of himself guarded, retreating into hobbies like photography and music to escape the noise. Yet tonight, none of that mattered. Here, in the middle of nowhere, he was simply a person trying to help another living being survive. For once, there were no expectations weighing him down, just the instinctive need to act. The dog, too, had a story etched into its weary face. Its collar bore faint traces of letters scratched off deliberately, hinting at a past someone wanted erased. Was it stolen? Abused? Left behind? Whatever the truth, Barron vowed silently to uncover it. This wasn't just about saving a life. It was about giving justice to a soul who deserved better. The storm worsened as Barron navigated treacherous terrain. Trees swayed dangerously close to the road, their branches snapping under the weight of accumulating snow. Visibility dropped drastically, forcing Barron to rely solely on intuition and memory to find his way. Every turn felt like a gamble, every mile a battle against nature itself. At one point, the car skidded off the icy pavement, nearly tipping into a ditch. Heart pounding, Barron gripped the steering wheel tightly, regaining control just in time. "We're okay," he reassured the dog, though his voice betrayed his fear. They couldn't afford another mishap. Not now, not when they were so close. Finally, after what felt like hours, Barron spotted the dim lights of a small cabin nestled among the trees. Relief washed over him, but caution lingered. Who lived out here? Would they welcome strangers in the dead of night? Knocking hesitantly on the door, Barron explained their predicament to the elderly couple who answered. To his surprise, they welcomed him warmly, offering shelter and supplies. Mrs. Harper, the wife, tended to the dog while Mr. Harper brewed hot tea for Barron. "You've got guts, kid," Mr. Harper said gruffly, handing him the steaming mug. Not many folks would risk their necks like that. But the respite was short-lived. When morning broke, Barron discovered a clue tucked inside the dog's collar, a folded piece of paper bearing coordinates scrawled hastily. Curiosity burned within him. What did these numbers mean? Why had someone gone to such lengths to hide them? Determined to find answers, Barron set out once more, following the map etched in ink. Along the way, he encountered obstacles that pushed him to his limits. Wolves circling menacingly in the distance, rivers frozen solid yet perilously thin, and memories of his own struggles surfacing unbidden. Yet each challenge only strengthened his resolve. The coordinates led Barron to an abandoned warehouse deep in the woods. Inside, he uncovered evidence of illegal dog-fighting rings, cages rusted with neglect, chains scattered across the floor, and photographs pinned to walls showing terrified animals forced into brutal matches. Among the photos was one of the German Shepherd, standing defiantly amidst chaos. Fury ignited within Barron. This wasn't just cruelty. It was systematic abuse. Someone needed to expose the truth, and he realized he was uniquely positioned to do so. Using his phone, he documented everything meticulously, ensuring the evidence would hold up legally. Returning home, Barron worked tirelessly to bring attention to the issue. His efforts sparked outrage nationwide, leading authorities to shut down multiple operations linked to the ring. The German Shepherd, whom Barron named Atlas, became a symbol of hope and resilience. Adopted permanently by Barron himself months later, Barron stood on stage at an animal rights conference, Atlas by his side. "Sometimes we underestimate the power of kindness," he told the audience. "But acts of compassion don't just save lives, they inspire change." Atlas wagged his tail, his scars fading but never forgotten. Together, they proved that even in the darkest moments, humanity shines brightest when we choose to care. And as the crowd erupted in applause, Barron smiled, not because of fame or recognition, but because he'd found purpose beyond expectation.